So yeah, thank you, Ben, first of all, for moderating this, and also hello, Ben, for having me here. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining. I'm Ioannis, and I will be presenting the Microsoft Fabric and the promising Copilot. I hope you enjoy. Before starting, I would like to thank Nikki, who is my mentor, and we spent together quite some time preparing this session. He gave his precious feedback, and yeah, I hope you enjoy it. And I would like to thank Ben for giving me the opportunity to participate. Really appreciate it. I'm really grateful for that. And yeah, excited. Let's kick it off. Yeah, a few words about me. I can imagine you made a good guess already from my strong Greek accent. I come from Athens, but I live abroad the last approximately 10 years. The last 5, I live in Berlin, in Germany, where I'm working at TD Reply. It's a consultancy company. I'm doing reports for marketing campaigns of companies that camp basically for FMCG industry. FMCG stands for fast-moving consumer goods. And yeah, my educational background, I'm holding a master's in business analytics, and I have also a bachelor's in agricultural economics. Regarding hobbies, given that I have a 4-year-old son, my time is not unlimited, as you can imagine, but I do enjoy reading non-fiction books. I really love traveling. I think most of the people do. I claim that I play the guitar, and I do some sports here and there. And recently I started exploring oil painting. It's challenging, I have to say, but I really enjoy it. So regarding today's session, what you should expect to be more familiar after this 50 minutes, 1 hour. I guess you're aware of this buzzword, Fabric, Copilot, LLMs maybe, but hopefully after this session, you're going to be more familiar with them, with Fabric, what is behind, how it's working, what's Copilot, what's behind the scenes, how also it's working, and how all those two are integrated to each other and could be potentially quite useful for your daily working routines. So the agenda for today is going to be like, we're going to have a high-level introduction to Microsoft Copilot. We're going to have an overview for Microsoft Fabric in particular, what's, as I said, behind the scenes, how it's working, what are the parts. We're going to see how the two of them are integrated. So Copilot in particular, integration into Microsoft Fabric. We're going to have a look on the use cases of Copilot. And then we're going to see a demo. We're going to have a demo on Visual Studio and Python in particular, with the help of Copilot helping us write the code. Please don't get scared. You don't need any. There's no prerequisite of knowing how to write Python. And then we're going to conclude, and I planned enough time for some Q&A in the end. So if you have any questions, please keep them for that time. And yeah, let's actually kick it off. What is Microsoft Copilot? How it's all started, and yeah, what's useful about it? Basically, it was announced during Microsoft Build, that was last May, and was introduced as an AI assistant feature for Microsoft 365, like Word, Excel, etc. It was basically communicated as an integration tool that works alongside us in the office, at home, to help us with our creativity, unlock our productivity, and overall like up-level our skills. So when it all happened, and how it happened, Microsoft Copilot is the result of the partnership between Microsoft and OpenAI. It all started in 2016 and basically was consolidated in 2019. It actually kicked off with Microsoft Builder in 2019, which is basically a low-code artificial intelligence platform which supports the Power Platform. 2 years later, Power Apps add-on was announced, which is basically also an AI-powered assistance to help anyone create apps using natural language and support with formulas that are integrated. They're called FX formulas. And the same year, we have the integration of Power BI. So we already had back then DAX Quick Create. Those are helping us to get suggestions on the DAX code. And actually, this exists until today, and it's integrated into Copilot. We're going to have a look later on that side. The year after, NLP support was announced for Power Automate. And in Power Apps, we have actually AI extended support for Image and Figma. This year, in 2023, we had the rollout of conversation boosters in Power Virtual Agents and the Azure Open AI model in AI Builder. The first one essentially is enhancing the Power Virtual Agent chatbot to gather all the information and create actually on the fly an answer whenever there's nothing there in place. The latter one is used to easily create connections and prepare data sets with the least possible code. And we come to the latest news that I mentioned at the very beginning. Last May, Fabric and Copilot announcement, quite exciting news. And yeah, I think let's deep dive and have a better look how those are working all together for Microsoft 365 and Power BI in particular. That's in our interest. So how this is working, another buzzword or an acronym maybe LLMs, large language models. You get to know or get to work with ChatGPT, or maybe you know behind that is GPT-4 or GPT-3, or you've heard of Llama, one of the 2 or 3 most famous of them. So it's combining this powerful large language model, GPT-4 actually, and Microsoft Graph, which is API developer platform. Copilot uses something that's called grounding to improve the quality of the prompts that we give using natural language. So we are describing what we want. Those are called prompts, and this is translated depending on the app that we're using to something useful for us. So, for example, if you ask Word to create a document based on your data, Copilot will send a prompt to Microsoft Graph to retrieve the context and data before modifying the prompt, and actually then it's sending it to the GPT-4 LLM. The response that gets to Microsoft Graph, which is doing some additional grounding. Grounding is very important in that whole process, and it's ensuring it's doing compliance checks, security checks before sending any response and commands back to your app that you're using, to Microsoft 365 apps. But let's have a look step by step maybe and have a better understanding how this is working. So Copilot receives an input prompt from the user in an app, name it Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and then pre-processes the input prompt through the approach, which is called grounding, as I mentioned before, which again improves the specificity of the prompt to help you get the answers and the computer actually understand exactly what's needed. So it's giving relevant and actionable to us specific tasks. The prompt itself can include text from input files or other content discovered by Copilot, And then Copilot sends the prompt to the LLM for processing. The next step is that Copilot takes the response from the LLM and actually is post-processing it. The post-processing part is also very important. Includes another grounding here. It calls the Microsoft graph. It's responsible for AI checks, again, security, be compliant, have privacy reviews, and in general, command generation. And as a final step, returns the response to the app, and where you, the user, can review and assess the response. And let's have maybe some use cases, some examples. First of all, word integration. So with the Copilot integration, we can create, we can edit, or we can summarize content in literally real time. We input a brief prompt using natural language, like as if we're talking to someone next to us. Copilot generates a first draft, incorporates information from across the organization that we're working at, or at home, or files that are available. It can also add content from existing and to existing documents. Can improve the conciseness. Can even suggest appropriate tone for our routing, so format or less format, more. We can specify that. So some examples of those prompts you see already on the screen could be like, yeah, please produce a 2-page project proposal by utilizing information from XYZ document and an XYZ spreadsheet. Or please revise the third paragraph to achieve greater conciseness and modify the document's tone to reflect a more informal style. Let's have a look similarly, like this is working as you can imagine for Excel. The integration there of Copilot can receive questions about our data, also in natural language, and not only just formulas. It will reveal correlations. It will propose what-if scenarios. It will potentially suggest also new formulas based on our questions. Can generate models based on our questions that actually help us to explore better the data that we have without even modifying them. Automatically can also identify trends, can also create visualizations, or ask for any recommendations to drive different outcomes. We can have prompts, like some examples would be present a detailed analysis of sales categorized by type or maybe channel, and incorporate a table to have more clarity. Or estimate the influence of XYZ variable, the fluctuation of the change, and create a chart to help me understand the change. Similarly for PowerPoint, that's also very useful, I have to say. It's designed to help us, of course, create presentations. It can convert already written documents to like visually really stunning slideshows. It can even provide speaker notes, like how exciting is that? And even source material at the very end. Can generate new presentations, but can also like enhance existing ones. We can follow up on those prompts, and we can have PowerPoint enhance existing presentations and help us make it better, or change the tone or the outline. For example, we can say develop a 5-slide presentation using the content from X Word document, and yeah, also include some stock images. Or yeah, reorganize the 3 bullet points into a layout consisting of 3 columns, so can be very specific on that. And say also that with each column accompanied by an image. For Outlook, so generally speaking, for what I personally find annoying in emails, let's say, and service providers for emails, like actually making sense of really lengthy threads. I think the case of Outlook, that's still quite bearable comparing to other providers, but I have to say this is quite a difficult and challenging task. So with Copilot, we can use Copilot to summarize really lengthy email threads, and which include potentially, like, of course, multiple people, and we can understand each person's viewpoint and have also the open questions that have been yet to be answered. It can help us respond to existing emails with a very simple prompt, or turn quick notes into really professional sounding messages by pulling from other emails or content across MS 365. And there are also kind of toggles that it can help us adjust the tone or the length, make it more formal, sounding more formal, more professional, and be longer or shorter. For example, some prompts could be provide a summary of the emails received during my absence, the last week or the last 2-3 days, and highlight any crucial matters. Or, for example, compose a polite reply, expressing gratitude and request additional information on their second or third point, and modified it also to make it sound quite formal. For Teams, I would say it's quite straightforward. We can ask Copilot to provide an overview of the key points of the meeting that I missed. Happens a lot. I think that's quite helpful, or part of it. And we can also ask, are there any areas of disagreement regarding the topic, the subject matter? Or, for example, develop a table outlining the pros and cons, advantages and disadvantages are related, for example, to the topic discussed, or the topic that was on scope or on the agenda, and also provide if there are any additional factors we should consider before deciding. And for the last case, I think it's the most exciting for me, the Power BI integration. So a disclaimer here, maybe you know already, Copilot integration to Power BI until now, or a few days ago, was basically on private mode. We used to have, as I mentioned at the very beginning, we used to have an AI solution, like the quick measures, that were helping us to create DAX, and now it's integrated to Copilot. The private preview that I mentioned before was for the very beginning, I think, available to 30 companies, and that was expanding to 300 at some point 2 months ago. But I have quite fresh news here. In the Microsoft Power Platform conference that took place at the very beginning of October, like few weeks ago, it was announced there that it's going to be in private mode. Copilot will be available in Power BI Premium capacities or Fabric FSKUs of 64 or higher. I know especially the last part maybe sounds Greek to you, but the Greek guys here will help you understand later. There's a table explaining everything. So how it looks like, how it will look like. Copilot can create a whole report for us by just giving a prompt, using, again, natural language, and we can explain like which aggregations or KPIs which the Copilot should include there. Or if we have already an existing dashboard or report, we can ask Copilot to summarize for us certain graphs and provide main takeaways or spotlight key numbers or dates to consider. For now, I would say let's take maybe a step back, because we need to understand what is Microsoft Fabric and how it's working, and then we're going to see how they're all coming together. So what's Microsoft Fabric? The official website says like Microsoft Fabric is the robust platform that provides the foundation for building scalable, reliable, and secure applications. That's a standard definition coming directly from Microsoft for Fabric. But practically, we can think about it as a SaaS, as a software as a service. It's a solution that brings together different components. Some of them we know already. They were pre-existing. And those are integrated on top of one lake. So you see 7 tiles. 6 of them, the first 6 are the main components. They are called experiences. And the last one, the data activators, is a later add-on. I will explain exactly what's useful for. So the main 6 experiences, data factory. It's used to ingest data, and it's using pipelines and data flows. Synapse data engineering enables users to design, to build, or if there are any existing infrastructures to maintain them. Then we have Synapse data science experience, which integrates Azure machine learning to build and deploy models. We also have Synapse data warehousing, which is basically a lake-centric, again, SaaS. It's using SQL to manipulate the data in the warehouse. Then we have Synapse real-time analytics. This one enables automatic data streaming. We can do indexing or partitioning of any data source or any format. And of course, we have the last one. We have Power BI to visualize all that data. The last one, the data activator, it's the latest add-on. It's basically no code experience. It helps to drive actions automatically from our data. So if we have in Power BI a high peak or an outlier, we can say send a notification via email to take action if it's needed. How this is working all together, I think most of us we have the experience of working with OneDrive, or at least I guess you know it. OneDrive is useful to access our files from the cloud, regardless where we are, which device we're using, when. So something similar is OneLake. Enables the ease of sharing data among those experiences, the 6 experiences we've seen. This is achieved by using something called shortcuts. They facilitate us to access the data wherever they are and query them without having to migrate the data from one place to another or somewhere else. So with Fabric, the different analytical engines, Spark or T-SQL, can store data in the Open Delta Parquet format, and that we see here on OneLake, and can allow us to use the same data across multiple engines. There's one difference, though, that's even more helpful for Power BI to be faster, and it's part of OneLake, kind of. It's called, this is the basic architecture, and you see the Parquet files, the Delta tables that I mentioned before, and those are all part of OneLake, and the experiences are integrated into that. Power BI is standing very close to us, that we want to make a data analysis, and there's a direct connection with importing and exporting using queries. But there's a tool, there's an add-on called Direct Lake. It's a fast path actually to load the data from the lake straight into the Power BI, into Power BI's engine, and they're ready for analysis. There's no need literally to copy or transfer any data between the engines. So actually any changes that take place at the source are picked up directly with the next data refresh that we do, and there's no query editing in need. Basically, it's really fast, especially for large data sets. There's a disclaimer, though, again. Direct Lake is supported on Power BI Premium P and Microsoft Fabric F SKUs. I will explain, as I said later, what SKUs are and how they're working. So the next table is gonna help us. I'm going to talk about something useful, I think, to everyone for budgeting prices. As I said, there are certain SKUs, certain units. Each of them has a standard or a given capacity, and all of them, they are pay-as-you-go mode, let's say, on an hourly basis or a monthly basis. The prices you see here are in euro, and that's because we have different prices per region. So this is West Europe. We have the ability to pause anytime. That's why we say pay as you go. And there's a cost on top for the one lake storage that I mentioned before. It's minor, I have to say. It's per gigabyte, some cents, but in case we manipulate terabyte of data, we have to put it into our calculation as well. Very useful is also that in case we decide to operate out of business hours, the cost is 1/3. And there's also something called reserved prices. So basically, we can, if we decide to pay ahead a whole year in advance, we can have a better price range. To be honest, it's not really, we don't know exactly how much it's going to be at this moment. It will be still announced. And at this point, I think we can jump to the demo. I will be using Visual Studio. And the integration we're going to see now, I mean, basically, I'm going to use Python, but the focus shouldn't be Python. We're using that to understand how Copilot is integrated to GitHub. And we can use it here in Visual Studio to understand how this practically can be useful. So how to import that? Of course, I've done that already. Yeah, I was typing it. So you can subscribe. There's a trial version of it, but then there's a monthly cost there for GitHub Copilot. You come here in the Visual Studio in the extensions at the marketplace, and you type in Copilot, and then GitHub Copilot add-on is popping up, and you can integrate it already. How do you know that this is already done? At the bottom here, there's this little guy here that if I hover over it, says deactivate Copilot. Essentially, it's activated already. And how this is actually working. So in Python, we are using hashtags to make comments. That's one way for Copilot to be useful here. So the natural language used is giving those prompts. The prompts here are just comments. And the other way is directly writing a code, and Copilot is giving us suggestions. So I would say, let's have some examples. Let's check first the hashtag one. Let's ask Copilot to write some code to add horseback riding. No, that's not what I want. To add 2 numbers. And you see now that what I wrote is in green, and the suggestion, of course, it's a small one, it's in white. If I like that, the previous one with the horse riding, that's not exactly what I wanted, so I didn't take the suggestion. You can hit the tab button to take it. And in that case, it's already giving me, it's creating variables, suggesting variables. The numbers are random, but good enough for our example now. Second one, of course, because we're asking for 2 numbers. And then that's actually nice, is putting them already in a 3rd variable. That's a good practice. And of course, we need to print that. So let's do that. That's nice enough. Let's try something else. Like let's put them in a function. You see the suggestion here. It starts already giving suggestions, but I would like actually to write a function for those to perform the same. Yeah, exactly. Write a function to add the two numbers, and it starts like in Python defining this function. So taking two variables. Yeah, that's perfect actually. And return that. And let's test it. Let's use this. It's taking the same numbers because already I've seen what's going up in the first code box, and we get very nice result here without even almost thinking about it. As a next step, let's try something else. Let's try to create a bit more complicated function, let's say. Let's make a function that is checking whether a number is a prime number or not. Just as a reminder, a prime number is a natural number greater than 1 that has only two factors, the number 1 and the number itself. Some examples are like 2, 3, 5, 7, etc. So let's use again the commands here to write that, right? No, we've done that already. Write a function that gets, an input from the user and prints it. No, that's not what I want. And of course, you see I'm writing using natural language, like I would have asked someone next to me to help me with that. So an input that gets an input and checks if it's even or odd. That's also a nice one. If it is a prime number or not. Yeah, it's already starting with a function definition, and it's already suggesting the whole function. So basically, what it's doing, it's taking the definition, and of course, I will accept that. Print prime, yeah, and checking first of all, like taking the numbers and checking whether they have a remainder or not. So if the remainder is a zero, that's what's doing here. That means it's not a prime. They're divided exactly. That's not what we need. Otherwise, it's just spitting out the results like this is a prime. Let's run the function here, and let's check it. Prime. You see already it's suggesting a prime number to check, but let's check 6, for example. It's not a prime. And let's check the number 7 that was already suggesting prime. But obviously, I don't think on our everyday life we're checking for prime numbers at work. We're using Python for other stuff. So let's have a look on actually a data set which I have already imported here. A data set from a Kaggle challenge that has information about housing, and real estate in general. Yeah, I have it later in the links provided to you, and we're going to share that with you in the whole PowerPoint. This dataset has information about the sale price, how big the house is, how many rooms it has, etc. So let's just do a very basic exploratory analysis. This time, let's use not a hashtag, not a comment to get suggestions. The first thing that you're doing in Python to be able to perform some basic analysis is importing packages. So let's type directly the commands. So import Math, no, that's not the package I want. I want the pandas. And it's even suggesting the usual acronym, the PD. That's very common as an acronym to store the import. I will use also NumPy. Yeah, this one as well. To be transparent here, I did some rehearsal, of course, the past days to be ready. And because I was inputting already those commands, kind of knows already what I would like to have. It seems like it's already in my mind. It's not the case. The first time I tried that was not as straightforward. I had to write back and forth, but I have to admit that the suggestions were very nice. Import OS, no, that's not something I would like to have. Basically, I would like to have from sklearn. I would not like to import everything, so let's have a sklearn pre-processing. And I don't want, I don't want the label encoder. I would like to have the standard scaler. And here from stats, let's import norm. And as the last part, bear with me, that's a kind of important part just to have everything working. Let's have the warnings, important warnings. Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's run that. I hope it can import successfully everything. Nice. And as I said, I have already the data on my desktop. Let's make sure that the path is correct, that we don't have any complicated implications here. And let's have a look on our data set, how it looks like. Let's import it. First of all, yeah, exactly. It's a CSV file. Let's import it and let's have a look on the columns. Train columns. Oops, nope, typo. Yeah. So as I said, we have quite a lot of information. As you can see, we have the sales price. We have the year that's sold. We have the bedrooms, the size of the bedrooms, the area, the street. Quite nice and clean data set. Let's have a look actually on sales price, how it looks like, and train. Yeah, we can also have a look on that actually, on all the data set, what's in there. And yeah, as I said, let's have a look on the sales price in particular. So EF train. Sales price, and just hit describe to have an overall look. So we have 1,460 inputs. The average looks kind of normal for when the data were taken. I don't think this is the reality now. We have, it's nice that, yeah, we see that the minimum is also quite normal. It's not a zero, or we don't have missing values for the minimum. Yeah, I think always makes sense to actually have a graph of our data to make more sense and have them visually interpreted. So let's use Seaborn, and have a histogram here. Yeah, that's good already. Yeah, we have a nice histogram. We can already see that it's not a typical normal distribution. There's a very obvious positive skewness, and we see a very certain, very specific peak. It's good to see, but how much is it? Let's actually have a number here. Print. Yeah, exactly. Skewness. Let's have that, and let's see also kurtosis here. Yeah, exactly. That's what we see. But let's move forward and see the combination, or what's the relationship of sales price with another variable. So let's create the variable. Yeah, let's have a look on this one. And let's use a scatter plot basically to check what's the relationship between them. Yes, exactly, of sales price and yeah, and the space, the living area. That's one part of it, and also no, sorry. Let's do the scatter plot now that we have everything. Okay. I hope you can see it. Yeah, we see a very obvious linear relationship. They are obviously correlated, makes sense. We see some outliers, like quite big area for relatively cheap price, or very, very high prices. Those are the maximums that we've seen, around 800,000. But overall, makes sense. The higher the area, the larger the area, the higher the price. Let's check also something else here. Again, you can see that the suggestions are also with this way, with directly coding, are quite useful. Let's check the total basement area. That's the acronyms for square feet. It's in square feet, this one. Let's have a look on that. The same process, could actually even copy paste it from above, but yeah, as you can see, it's even suggesting nodes, which is quite nice rule of thumb to do while coding, just to help us remember what we did when we're writing the code. And let's do another scatter plot here, just to check that. Yeah, similarly, an outlier here. Again, there is a relationship. We can see it's not as it's not similar to the actual area of the lot, but yeah, there is an obvious relationship. Yeah, I think that will be it. That's how we can use it, and yeah, I find it useful in that case at least. It's very straightforward, very useful for daily basis for people that for data analysts or data scientists that are using on a daily basis. It's making life easier, I would say, and saving quite a lot of time. So what we've seen during the summary, we saw more or less how to enable it, to enable the Copilot in the Visual Studio for GitHub in this case. Yeah, we've seen suggestions, prompt suggestions, how to use them with a hashtag using natural language, or even directly coding, and how to accept them by entering or hitting the tab. And yeah, practically how to best use Copilot to optimize our Python code. You've seen that it's even suggesting comments. I mean, I would say as every AI helper those days, they have limitless and quite numerous use cases, but some of them in our area, I would say, that I could think of that's obviously help us with a code review and also debugging, very, very crucial and very important. It can also generate test cases, in particular here for Python. You've seen it's very good in real-time code suggestions. It can assist in the office, let's say, tasks that have to do with apps in Microsoft 365. It can even automate workflows. For Power BI and Excel can spot key trends in the reports, and overall we've seen that already, can summarize really long documents or meeting transcripts. And as promised, here are some resources that I used, and I think they're going to be useful if you want to check them out in your own pace. And yeah, just to conclude what we've have seen today, we had a look on Microsoft Copilot, what's behind the scenes, how it's working, how LLMs are used, and how, I think we had a really deep dive view on how this is getting the prompts and giving us an actual and very useful outcome. Then also we had a look on the Microsoft Fabric, the one lake, the direct lake, how all those are used with experiences, how it's working, how the two of them are actually integrate to each other and collaborate to help us with Power BI in particular, but overall to help us do the analysis and visualize it. We've seen a lot of integrations in Microsoft 365 apps. We've seen also in this last part, Copilot in action with GitHub and the Visual Studio. And yeah, I hope that so far it was up to now a useful session for you. You enjoy it, and hopefully you feel yourself that you're more familiar with Copilot and Fabric. Thank you, and I'm open for questions if there are any questions.